had to do mental math, and it didn't go so well. Hey everybody, here today to do the mid-year check-in tag. I'm filming this on July 1st, so it has been half of a year, half of 2019. This tag was co-created by Harriet Rosie and Dane Reeds. I did also do this tag last year. I haven't rewatched it in a while, so I have no idea how any of the answers are gonna be different. I mean, I'm sure they're all gonna be different. Most of them, at least. There are 10 questions, so let's get to it. The first question is, how many books have you read so far this year? My current book total for the year is 137 books, which is one more than all of the books I read last year, which is crazy. Crazy. It's probably because I've gotten really into audiobooks. I read a lot more kids' books. I read more comics than I used to. I used to only read manga before last year-ish. I kind of dabbled in a couple of comics before last year, but last year I read Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez, and that's what really kind of spurred my love for comics into what it is now. And I'm always looking for good comic recommendations, so if you have any, drop them down below. The next question is, what is your favorite book so far this year? Favorite books this year that I've never read before. I'm doing this just books that I haven't read yet, or I hadn't read previous to this year. So far this year, my favorite books have been Infidel, which is a horror comic about racism, or The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is a fiction about a lot of things. Most of you have read it. If you haven't, get on that train. It's a good train. It takes you places. What is the most disappointing book you've read this year? I said Monstrous Volume 1 by Marjorie Liu. I had seen that comic around. The art looked absolutely beautiful, and I was really excited to get into it. It looked kind of oriental. It looked a bit cyberpunky or something. I wasn't really sure what it entailed. I don't even know if I read the description or not before reading it, but I'd seen it around and I wanted to read it, mostly because of the art. And the art was absolutely gorgeous, but the story was it was fine, but it wasn't anything that blew me away, and it wasn't anything that I was particularly crazy about. What genre have you read most this year? I don't know. I can safely say I've read more fiction than nonfiction, but that gets divvied up into a lot of categories, and there's a lot of books to sift through, so I have no idea. If there's anybody watching this who really loves doing graphs or statistics or breakdowns or anything, feel free to go to my Goodreads and check out all my stuff and let me know, and everybody else know. Name a new favorite author you've discovered this year. I took it literally as authors that you've discovered this year, so I chose authors that I had not heard of at all before this year, or at least never really registered. I chose R.H. Sin. He is a poet, and I picked up a book of his on a discount table at Barnes & Noble, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was Whiskey Words and a Shovel 2, and I freaking love that book. It's over there, and I don't want to go grab it, so I'm just gonna have it floating up here somewhere. Oh, hey, that's my reading journal. Like my stickers. I like my stickers. It feels like the type of poetry that I've been writing for the last 14 years. It feels like it's poetry written from my brain. It feels like poetry written for me from somebody else, like exactly the type of words I need to hear sometimes. It feels like somebody who's just kind of having a conversation with me in a beautiful way, and I really love that. I did read 2 more books of his since discovering that one, and they were both the Whiskey Words and a Shovel series. Whiskey Words and a Shovel 1 is also amazing and wonderful. Whiskey Words and a Shovel 3, I almost chose as my disappointing book because it just felt really redundant. The other one that I chose is Kylie Scott. She writes romance, although maybe her romance would be more specifically categorized as the type without clothing. I really like her characters. I really like her humor. I just appreciate her stuff, and her books are hilarious, and they give me all the feels. What's the most surprisingly good book you've read so far this year? I've read a lot of really great books. I've come across them in a lot of strange ways, or normal ways, depends. I gotta say the most surprising is Tuesday by David Wisner. It's a picture book. It's a children's picture book, and I found it when I was at Barnes & Noble shopping for gifts for my nephew. I was just browsing the shelves and I saw the name Tuesday, and I was like, that's an incredibly intriguing book title. And so I pulled it off the shelf. It's a story told through the art more so than the words, but it's about imagination. We'll just say it's about imagination. It was just so delightful to just pick a random book off the shelf and have it be so uplifting and delightful, and it just tickled me, and I'm so happy that I found it. What are your favorite and most anticipated releases of 2019? I don't know if I have any anticipated releases. There might be one somewhere, I really don't know. I did read Black Enough by E.B. Zaboy back in February, and that was released January 8th of this year. That book was fantastic. It's a collection of stories featuring Black youth. I loved it. It was absolutely amazing. That's got to be the best book released this year that I've read. What's your next big priority for your reading? My currently reading. What's been your bookish highlight of the year so far? Hands down, it has been my bookcase situation. My bookshelves are so gorgeous now. I do need to get a couple more, but this is the best that my books have ever looked in my entire life. I am so happy. Other, runners-up have been shopping in Springfield with Sue and Megan. That was a lot of fun. We hit a few different bookstores and I found some really fun things. The half-price book sale in May. That was really cool. The 10th question is, who do you tag? I didn't write anybody down for this. I don't know who's done it. I don't know who wants to do it. If you see this and you want to do it, comment below and I tag you. Yeah, that's where we're at. That's the mid-year. Thanks for watching. Bye.